What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we got the 2023 annual shareholder meetings. It does start in around 4 minutes. So what I'm going to do during that time, I'm just going to mute myself, just listen to the meeting. As far as what the steps are, it's just going to get quorum initially. So more of a legal term for the official meeting to be held. Then afterwards, it's just going to go over the kind of the points. And the points are, for the most part, these. I've touched on this in the last couple or many videos in the past. Nothing crazy is going to be done today or said, but it's still important things to note. Sorry, one second. Just going to plug in the headphones as well, just make sure they don't die. But number one is the election of directors. Kind of said in the past, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that because I'm not one to kind of go through and double check to make sure everyone, like all people's history, and see if it works with the company. I know it can be beneficial, but I just have never seen a benefit in doing that. But quickly moving on from that though, number two is to ratify the accounting firm. So Grant Thornton's been there since day one, so literally I don't anticipate that changing whatsoever. Number three, to approve on an advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officer. So out of anything, I think that one is more of the touchy subject one, because I think some people think that, especially based on Lucid's performance, that a lot of their executives are paid too high. And in reality, I did a whole video on this, but on how I guess a lot of the executives' bonuses are too easy. So I think that one might be, if any of them, the touchy subject one. Number four, 2021 stock incentive plan. So the restated that. I don't see a big deal because of that in reality, because I think in order to get skilled labor and maintain that, you need to give them incentives, and that's a very good way how to do that. So I'm a fan of that in my opinion. And number four, to approve the amendment and restatement of the company's current certificate of incorporation. So that one I don't see as a big deal in reality. But again, I am just going to mute myself. If you guys have any questions, throw it up in the chat and I'll post it. As far as Q&A, I do believe it has to be kind of to the topic of the annual meeting. So I can't just say like when's Lambo or something like that. But as far as on a data point today, what is happening, it's surprisingly up. It had a nice start to the day on the technicals at least, but broader market is just dragging it down. So it's very unfortunate. And I'll give you guys a quick overview of what Lucid is doing right now or what shorts are doing with Lucid. And in case you guys are just joining, so it is 11 o'clock, so it'll start any moment. I'll mute myself. I'll play around in the background, just show you guys shorts, what they're doing periodically and just the technicals, but for the most part, I'll stay quiet. And so they are increasing 832,000 shares. So it's pretty positive, the fact that they're increasing, but yet generally Lucid is green today. So that's a good sign, broader on a bigger scale. Okay, they are about to join. Nope, maybe not. They stopped the music. So maybe behind the scenes are waiting. But again, I'll kind of periodically go over this just to go along with it. Someone's there, I don't think they realize they turned on their mic. Okay, until they start talking. Okay, music's back on again. Okay. But what I'll do is I'll have this in the background as well, just to go through it. So this one is the initial one in March that was submitted. So this is the very lengthy document that I've done a video on, that it goes over everything. So this one's a ton of pages, 118 pages. But I know some people were very much focusing on that because this wasn't done in 2022 annual the meeting. So Peter did have a letter to the stockholders. So kind of a little snippet, which I think this is a nice touch in reality, especially based on what has happened with Lucid in 2022 and just the broader economic things. I think this is a nice touch. So they do have a quick video playing, but it's just still that whole tentative music right now. And actually, on a side note, this is a nice touch. In the past, they never really had this going. They only had just a white screen and someone talking. So yeah, Samuel, that is coming soon too. Yeah, surprisingly, even though I've covered Lucid quite a lot, this is one I haven't actually driven one yet. But that's my plan in the next month, I believe, to head out to Vancouver, month and a half to head out to Vancouver and finally test drive it. So I'll be able to drive that. But in that time frame, hopefully they've unveiled the actual the Gravity as well. I still do believe, because the shareholder meeting is on May the 8th, that they are going to disclose it, because typically Lucid's always had a very big catalyst 1 or 2 weeks prior to their earnings that they can use as a talking point. So I still think that they're going to use that to their benefit. But it looks like maybe after that. Okay. There we go.
Good morning. I hereby call the meeting to order. My name is Peter Rawlinson, and I am the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Technology Officer of Lucid Group Incorporated, and a candidate for election as Director. Welcome to the 2023 annual meeting of the stockholders of Lucid Group Inc., which is being held in an all-virtual format. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being a loyal stockholder of Lucid. Now, first, I would like to welcome our 3 new director nominees, 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧, Chabi Nouri, and 𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗛𝗧, as well as the current members of the company's board of directors who are standing for re-election, who are joining me today. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our outgoing directors, Nancy Joyer, Frank Lindenberg, and Tony Posawatz, for their service to Lucid. We also have a number of company officers here with us. Jonathan Butler, the General Counsel and Secretary of the company, will serve as Secretary of the meeting and record the proceedings. He has delivered an affidavit of Equiniti Trust Company, the registrar and transfer agent for our common stock, which states that on March the 13th, 2023, Equiniti Trust Company mailed the notice of internet availability of proxy materials to the company stockholders of record as of the close of business on February the 28th, 2023, the record date for the meeting. This affidavit is available if any stockholder wishes to examine it, and a copy will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Jonathan will now discuss the procedures for transacting the business of the meeting.
Good morning. An agenda that outlines the order of business for the meeting has been made available. The matters on which the stockholders at the meeting may vote are: 1, to elect the 9 nominees to serve as directors until the next annual meeting of stockholders and until their successors are duly elected and qualified, subject to earlier resignation or removal. 2, to ratify the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31st, 2023. 3, to approve on an advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officers as disclosed in the proxy statement. 4, to approve the amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated amended and restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. 5, to approve the amendment and restatement of the company's current certificate of incorporation. 6, transact any other business that may properly come before the meeting. The agenda and rules of conduct have been posted on the online meeting site. The meeting will take place as described in the agenda. An opportunity to raise questions and comments will be provided after voting on the proposals described in the proxy statement. When the report of the Inspectors of Election is complete, we will announce the results.
Thank you, Jonathan. I hereby appoint Angela Stewart of Equiniti Trust Company as Inspector of Election for the meeting and any adjournment or postponement of this meeting. She has signed an oath to act as Inspector of Election, and a copy of this oath will be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
The Inspector has the stockholder list of the company as of the close of business on February 28, 2023, the record date for the meeting, which shows the stockholders and their respective number of shares entitled to vote at this meeting. This list is electronically available on the online meeting site if any stockholder wishes to examine it, and a copy will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. A quorum is present at the meeting, so I declare the meeting duly and lawfully convened. The meeting is now open and ready for business. First, however, I remind you that if you have already voted and do not intend to make any changes, there is no need for you to cast a vote today. Your vote will be counted automatically without any further action on your part. Any stockholder present who has not voted or who wishes to change your vote may vote at this meeting by using the voting link. It is currently 9:08 a.m. Pacific Time, and the polls have been opened. You may vote at any time during our discussion of the proposals on the agenda. The polls will close after the last proposal has been presented. The first item of business is the election of 9 directors of the company. The proxy statement made available to you earlier listed the company's nominees for director. I would now like to introduce to you the company's current directors and nominees for director who have been nominated to serve as directors by the company's Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee and Board of Directors. 𝗪𝗠𝗪𝗓, Director. Glenn R. August, Director. Andrew Liveris, Director. Sharif Marakbi, Director Nominee. Nichelle Maynard-Elliott, Director. Shadi Nouri, Director Nominee. Peter Rawlinson, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Technology Officer, and Director. Ori Winitzer, Director Nominee. And Janet S. Wong, Director. In accordance with the bylaws of the company, stockholders are required to provide advance notice of their intent to nominate candidates for directors. No such notice was received. Therefore, I declare the nominations for director closed. A motion to elect 9 directors as described in the proxy statement is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote in favor of each named nominee. The second item of business is to ratify the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31st, 2023. The selection of Grant Thornton LLP is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. At this time, I would like to recognize Maya Wag and Zhengyu Chen from Grant Thornton LLP, who have worked on the audit of the company's financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022, and are with us today. A motion to ratify the auditor appointment as described in the proxy statement is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote in favor of proposal number 2. The third item of business is to approve, on an advisory basis, the compensation of our named executive officers. The compensation of our named executive officers is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. A motion to approve on an advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officers is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers. The fourth item of business is to approve the amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated amended and restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. The proposed amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated amended and restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. A motion to approve an amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated amended and restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for approval of the amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated amended and restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. The fifth item of business is to approve the amendment and restatement of the company's current certificate of incorporation. The proposed amendment of the company's current certificate of incorporation is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for approval of the amendment and restatement of the company's current certificate of incorporation. We have received a question concerning proposal number 3. The question is there consideration to tie executive compensation to stock performance? When stockholders take a hit, there should be commensurate impact on bonuses, etc., for the executive team. Is this the case? Yes. In order to ensure that management's interests are aligned with those of our stockholders and to motivate and reward individual initiative and effort, our executive compensation program emphasizes a pay-for-performance compensation philosophy so that attainment of company and individual performance goals are rewarded and is designed to align compensation with both short-term and long-term company performance measures and strategic objectives. In light of the company's performance for 2022, in the face of both internal and external challenges, and the desire to ensure senior leaders are aligned with the experience of stockholders, none of our named executive officers were awarded an annual cash incentive for 2022. We believe these facts reflect an ongoing effort to be responsive to our stockholders and to further align executive incentives with stockholders. The polls will close shortly. If you intend to vote, you need to do so now.
The suspense is killing me.
I now declare the polls closed. I understand that the votes have been counted and the preliminary report of the Inspector of Election has been delivered to the company. The preliminary report of the Inspector of Election indicates that 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛, Glenn R. August, Andrew Liveris, Sharif Marakbi, Michelle Maynard-Elliott, Shabi Nouri, Peter Rawlinson, Janet S. Wong, and Ori Winitzer have been elected as directors by the stockholders. Each candidate received more than a plurality of the votes cast at the meeting. Ratification of the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31st, 2023 has been approved by the stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. The approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers has been approved by the stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. The amendment of the Lucid Group Incorporated Amended and Restated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan has been approved by stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. The amendment and restatement of the company's current certificate of incorporation has been approved by stockholders of more than 66 2/3 of the total voting power of all outstanding common stock entitled to vote at the annual meeting. I hereby request that the final report of the Inspector of Election be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
You have now heard the results of the voting, and this completes the business to be conducted at this meeting. Since there are no other matters to come before the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending our annual meeting and being loyal stockholders of Lucid. I would also like to remind everyone that we will be holding our first quarter earnings call at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on May the 8th, 2023. And I look forward to speaking to you then.
Okay, so that's all they wrote. When it came down to it, I think a lot of people were very optimistic because keep in mind they did this. Annual meetings are typically very scheduled, same time every year for the most part. So when it comes down to, for instance, this, it was a little bit earlier because they did it in July of 2022. So a lot of people, especially this, came out like the exact same time frame about the whole PIF wanting to take Lucid private. Like this is where a lot of people were kind of speculating, saying, well, why would they be doing that? But of course, I guess this kind of ruled it out that in fact there was no speculation or no actual credibility to that. So again, as expected, everything was approved. Nothing really crazy. The only crazy one was maybe number 3, and that's I think that one question that whoever answered that was a very good question. And I guess, yeah, the fact that they didn't take any additional bonuses, any of the executives in 2022 is pretty good because 2022 has been pretty bad on the stock price. Even though in 2022 they did accomplish quite a lot, but still, bigger picture, a lot of people just look at the stock price and just match it. But you can kind of see the perspective on exactly what happened with that one rumor about the PIF wanting to take it private, which if you think about it, it's only a 12.86 billion market cap right now. And so in theory, like if you still do believe this, then you never know, right? But like I said, next couple of weeks I do, or probably next week, anytime in the next 2 weeks, I do anticipate the Gravity to be unveiled. At least just saying that we're going to have our event, our unveiling event, whatever, probably May the 14th or something like that, because typically this is what Lucid does. That's their MO. They like to at least have a good talking point before that. But again, it is what it is. Definitely Lucid is in the right direction, has a big investor, the PIF. And yeah, so once again, let me know your guys' thoughts on Lucid. Not really much to talk on, like I've kind of alluded to based on the shareholder meeting, but I think generally speaking, it is what it is. The more interesting one will be, of course, the earnings, because especially with Tesla and a lot of other ones announcing their earnings, Lucid has kind of mentioned their Q1 tentative delivery and production numbers kind of had an underlying signal. So we all want to hear what Peter is going to say, whether that is destined for instance, international deliveries, or if they're kind of going to have fear, similar to what Tesla's kind of was reading between the lines, and that's what investors were causing and reading with Tesla's earnings, that they are a little bit more fearful about something potentially bigger. And with Lucid not really ramping up to full production of what I think a lot of investors really think that they can do, it's just, yeah. So I think, yeah, like based on what they even say in the transcripts, so based on the transcripts right here, Q4 earnings, they do signal in here the fact that it's not necessarily the most optimistic. And what I mean by that, so Q1, they even say right here, so Q1 factory production in the early part of January was reduced by 7 days of production due to planned year-end physical inventory count. We expect Q1 to be down significantly, and they're talking about margins. So this is why I was optimistic, because they actually delivered, was it 2,300, I think it was, which I was thinking around 12 to 1,500 in all honesty. So it kind of exceeded my expectation. And the fact that they've already said that Q3 and 4 is when they're going to be ramping up, this kind of signals that their target of 14,000 can easily be achieved. So yeah, I think generally speaking, Lucid is on the right direction operationally, but just based on the price action, it's kind of sucked lately. But once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on Lucid, and I'm going to be live streaming as well the earnings on the 8th, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Any Mullen investors in here? Seems like people are in the chat about that. I'm going to be going on a live stream. I'm going to be doing a video with Business Dad in about 20 minutes, so hopping on there. That'll be under his channel, but then I'm going to be doing a Mullen live stream as well, probably closer to, I think, the 1:30 Eastern time. So in about an hour and a half or so. So yeah, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. I always appreciate you guys. And yeah, no matter what, let's all make a lot of money on Lucid, guys. But thanks for coming out. Short and sweet, very fast meeting. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks all for watching.